This is Primitive Outfitting, and you are listening to The Gritty Bowman.
Chicken. Wow, wow.
Nice.
And I'm not standing on my high horse saying I shoot a self bow, because there's no way in hell I'm shooting a self bow. When I say that, I mean that in a good Christian way.
As far as Cecil goes with me, I mean, I could really give a crap about that lion too much.
And all I was looking at was the tip of Aaron's arrow. And it was like this and this, and then it was kind of shaking, and then it went boom, solid like a rock. And I'm like, oh.
He's like, I got to know if you hit anything or not. You never really show excitement, because I don't. I'm kind of always mellow. And this thing, ready to jerk a tear. I was running around like an idiot. Woo. You know, if you ever talk to anybody from Africa, they're all about hunting lions because they eat people. Yeah. The compound, I have total confidence. With this thing, I'm like, yeah, maybe. But the way that America works, we're so soft, like softer than baby. All of us, basically.
The shooting errors, I'm going to call it Matrix effect. I panicked.
We've shot with a lot of trad bow guys, and I would say most guys are going to say 20 to 25 yards is their maximum effective range.
The shooting in the distance, I contribute that like somebody taking a softball and you're getting out at 10 yards, and another guy's out there at 30, and another guy's out there at 50, and you, in your mind, you know, if you threw that ball long enough, you know how hard, and you know you got to throw it to get to each point.
Yeah.
Same thing with shooting.
We the piggybackers.
Yeah, piggybackers.
Like if you're running like a 5-arrow quiver and you wanted to carry an extra stumper, you know, for walking around shooting,
or if you miss a lot,
or that.
They're cool, man. They really take it to another level.
Well, the nice thing about it was with the laser engraving, it kind of gave us, everybody can kind of get their own, make it personal.
All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Bowman podcast. We are coming at you, not live exactly, but we're coming at you from the ATA show in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I'm here with my co-host, Aaron Snyder. And
represent.
That's right. And Drew
Kohlhofer.
Kohlhofer.
Don't even attempt it.
Drew Kohlhofer from Selway Archery. And your dad here, Andy.
Yeah.
Same last name, Kohlhofer.
Squared.
I got that.
Kohlhofer squared.
Kohlhofer squared, yeah.
There you go.
And so you guys make quivers for the trad market. In fact, I think I asked you if you'd make me one for a compound, and you kind of said no.
Well, you never got. Well, I could build you one for a compound, but I could have swore that you had a longbow being built.
Yeah, I'm in that process still. I've shot a bunch of them, and I had a good time. I also tagged along with Aaron and didn't have such a good time. No,
struggle is real.
The Tradbow journey, we'll get into that here in a minute.
Little schooling, was it?
Yeah, it was a little humbling. But let's talk. Tell us a little bit about Selway.
Well, the business has been around for almost 30 years now, and I purchased it from Gordy Minkins, who was the original developer, owner of it. Consider him my best friend. And he getting up there in age and decided, he wanted to spend more time in the woods. So, and less in the shop. So I've been around it for quite a while, and he offered it to me, and it was a well-established business. And I figured it's something I can take over and pass on down to Drew. And so I bought it 2 years ago, and actually this time of year, and we've had it for 2 years now, and business is same as usual. And
how did you meet Aaron? Or Aaron, how did you come across these guys?
Well, I actually contacted Aaron as soon as I found out he was shooting a trad bow. I'm like, hey, dude, we had just kind of taken over the company, and like, oh, if Aaron's shooting one, knowing that, the following he's got, figured I'd get a hold of him, reach out, and built him a pretty sweet one.
I was going to say I had one. I had two different quivers. I had this screw-on thing that I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, and that wasn't yours. And then I had a slide-on quiver, and obviously I ended up shooting a buffalo, which works. The slide-on works great, but that was right when you guys went into
doing the laser engraving.
Laser engraving, the logo. So you made a Kafaru and a Gritty. You made two of each. Two one slide-on, one strap-on Kafaru Gritty Bowman
They're
we had a
just
green one.
They're just rad.
Yeah, they're cool looking. And you got that out to me. And then shortly after you sent Brian, we went up and killed that bear with it.
Yeah.
And then obviously the emails started for probably both of us. How do I get one of those? And I'm like, talk to Drew.
Yeah, definitely. It was good for business.
Yeah, it's a really nice product, and all the designs I've seen. How many different designs have you built now? Like,
I have not kept track. I know we got a photo album full of them.
yeah, you guys are like building them for
Stalker South. We're making them for South now.
First Light.
I've done First Light. Did one for Brinker at Sika Gear.
Rock Slide.
Ryan's got one.
putting
Mountain Ops Bow's got one.
Putting logos. Yeah, Mountain Ops has their logo.
Lance Banning just got one from you.
Yes. I got to ship that out.
Yeah.
But that one's going to be sweet. I'll post that up on Instagram here before I send it out to him.
They're cool, man. They really take it to another level.
Well, the nice thing about it was with the laser engraving, it kind of gave us, everybody can kind of get their own, make it personal.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sure that'll be copied shortly, like everything else on the planet.
Of course.
You were the first.
Yes.
The cool thing I tell people, like guys getting into trad, why it's like once you figure out your bow, because some guys might be, patriotic, American flag. Other guys might want their daughter's name on it. In the case, like I was going to have one built for my daughter for hers. And, she's, what am I trying to say? She's very artistic. So I was going to actually just have her draw one, which I did, and then just scan it and send it to you guys and see if you could engrave it. I don't, not everyone probably knows you guys have that capability. You can do just about anything with that laser engraving, or quite a bit. But you guys also, you have slide on, quiver, strap on, 4-arrow, 6-arrow, but you guys make other stuff as well. What else do you guys, a little bit of other things. I know because I use your gripper, your arrow gripper.
Yeah, we the piggybackers.
Yeah, piggybackers.
Like if you're running like a 5-arrow quiver and you wanted to carry an extra stumper, for walking around shooting,
or if you miss a lot,
or that, yeah, or an extra broadhead. But so that'll just attach onto your arrow, the last arrow in your quiver.
Aaron likes to shoot a lot of things.
It's fun.
I had double grippers. I went in with 10 arrows actually on that. No. 8 arrows. I had 8 arrows going in. Or was it 10 or 8? I don't know, but that thing looked
6 + 2
like a menacing porcupine.
Oh, yeah.
I had arrows coming all over because I just doubled them up front and back. So,
yep.
No, I had 6 + 4. Yeah.
Why did you need so many arrows?
I like to go. I mean,
Winchester,
you don't want to
right?
you don't want to get shot for lack of shooting back, right? Like you don't want to run out of ammo. So,
which brings up a point where Aaron, he missed more with his recurve than he does with his compound, which seems to has sort of alienated or upset some of this trad bow community.
For being honest,
yeah, I mean, I didn't. I mean, you weren't trying to piss anyone off either by asking the questions. But my biggest thing, and you and I had talked about this in depth, was we didn't want anybody wounding anything. And maybe I went overboard going step by step with exactly what happened through the season. But it was important for me to know I'd stacked the odds heavily in my favor. I practiced. I had a great coach, and I still got my butt kicked. I wounded more than I thought I would. We shortened, we wounded an elk at, 23?
Yes.
Wasn't very far away. We shortened the distance up, obviously tried to get even closer. And it's just something you really need to work at. And you going into in my opinion, you're not going into the traditional archery world to be more successful. You may be, but you're going into it for completely different reasons. One, to get closer. I'm not going to say everyone is a liar that says with a compound they don't use that as a crutch for shooting farther away, but 99% of the planet they're shooting compound because it's easier. There's no way around it.
No, definitely. Well, it's got that the built-in shot sequence for you.
Yep.
And unless you, even if you have like you said, like the right coaching, through Tom,
yeah,
and, over at Rocky Mountain Specialty Gear, I had no problem with what Aaron said because I want guys to know it's a big deal. Like it's hard.
Well, it surprised me, I guess, because I didn't expect. So the thing that really upset a lot of that community, a lot of the guys that are shooting trad bows, the thing that upset them really was when Aaron said, you'll wound more with a recurve than you do with a compound. or with a rifle. And whether that's the right way to phrase it or not, we could debate all day. But I think at the end of the day, we've talked about this extensively with a lot of people who have called and talked to us, emailed us, and asked Aaron about it. At the end of the day, I think a big part of it is basically it's just harder to hit what you're aiming at with a recurve. And when a guy comes along, or trad bow or longbow, whatever, when a guy comes along and chooses to go down that path, he's doing it because he wants to limit himself, make it harder for himself. Mm-hmm. So it surprised me to say, well, you've made it harder for yourself and you've taken on this tool that's more difficult to use, and then to say, but you won't wound more animals. To me, they kind of they coincide with each other to a degree.
Yeah, I would say that.
Or there's a higher possibility either way.
Well, there's a lot more variables built into it. I mean, the old phrase, the Indian behind the bow. Like, that's it in a nutshell. Like, you can have the most fancy rig, the fanciest whatever, or you can have a Samick Sage, which I think those are like $200.
Yeah.
And just a plain Jane setup, but it doesn't matter what that is. It's the guy behind the bow, and if you're not proficient enough and you don't want to put in the effort,
absolutely,
that's the biggest thing, and that's what I wanted guys to know coming into it is like it's serious. Like,
well, I've had some conversations since this time with Clay Hayes, and I love Clay. We're friends, and he's way into the self bow and loves and is passionate about this traditional lifestyle. And we've had some conversations, and Clay has talked about having a little archery challenge between a compound and a recurve. And but I'm like, Clay, I don't understand, because I'm gonna beat you. Like, we'll step out to 70 yards, you're just not gonna hit that,
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we're gonna shoot everything 15 yards and in, and I'm gonna have a 2-inch group. Well, 15 yards and in, I'd have to see some of this a little more, how accurate someone is even at 15 yards with a stick bow over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing he's going to do is arc his arrows over something it's impossible for a compound bow to arc over.
Yeah, but again, still.
Well, I mean, it's just basically if I said you and I are going to fight.
Yes.
We're going at it. And then I say, but I'm going to tie your hands behind your back and your feet together. Because that's what Clay's doing. And me, like, we're going to have a shooting competition, and I'm really going to show you up. But I get to pick all the shots. And, there's going to be a bunch of stuff in the way or whatever. It's just saying that it's more difficult to shoot a stick bow. I mean, I don't get it.
That's what. So that's. I really enjoyed the podcast that Stephen Ranilla just did with Ron Rohrbaugh.
Mm-hmm.
And Ron just came out with a book, using traditional gear.
Yep.
Ranilla asked Ron, so what do you think is more difficult, or what do you think is the hard part about traditional archery? Is it hitting what you're aiming at, or actually the need to get closer to the game you're trying to get?
It's definitely a little bit of both, but I would say, for instance, like that one buck you killed in Kansas or Nebraska. That one drop time buck. I mean, for instance, things can happen, and things can happen with the compound, but that deer was, 22 yards away. As soon as he let the arrow go, the deer whirled.
Mm-hmm.
Marginal hit, still found the deer. But, I mean, things can happen, and I would say that they're, without burying myself here, they're a little bit more likely to happen, kind of like what Aaron said, when you're shooting a stick bow.
Well, Ron said, in answer to Ranilla's question, he said, hitting what you're aiming at. That's the harder part.
Yeah.
A lot of compound bow shooters choose to get as close as they can. A lot of them choose to get within stick bow range. They're shooting 15-yard shots, 20-yard shots, 25-yard shots. And his point was, even at those ranges, they're still hard to hit what you're aiming at, because there's no draw stop, there's no peep sight, there's no
housing.
Yeah. You name it, there's no mechanical release aid.
Yep.
There's all these things that aren't there. And especially, he made the comment, especially when you're a new recurve or trad bow user, when you draw a compound and you have all these catching features, you get it back, and you're like, okay, I got to look through the peep, and then I got to line that up, and the housing, and I got to put the pin on the animal. All that stuff's there. He's like, man, when you draw a recurve, it's like blackout. It's like you pull it, and it's just before you know it, in the panic, in the moment, the buck fever kicks in. You can just have that arrow go.
I know all too well about that. This fall, I mean,
You missed an elk that way, didn't you?
I did. Not just a small one either, about a 350 class bull. He come up out of the drainage, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, all right, talking myself through my shot the way, because I've worked with Joel Turner quite a bit, and talking myself through it, and he comes up, and he's standing there facing me, and I'm going to bury one in his chest. There's no doubt about it. I can make that shot. There's a stick coming up and covering his vitals. So I'm like, just turn, do something. Well, he's up the ridge a little bit further. Cow calls. Bull steps up, perfect 25-yard broadside, and just rips a nasty bugle. And I just fell to pieces. And I went full autopilot, just pulled back, and I just let it rip. Didn't even pick a spot. So, with a compound, I would have no doubt in my mind made that shot. Because of those built-in features,
You've done a lot with your compound.
I don't shoot a compound anymore, but I did. I started out with the stick when I think I killed my first deer when I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a couple of really bad days in the woods and kind of grabbed my uncle. He said, here, I'm taking you out. You're going to take this Matthews that he had, or no, it was a Hoyt at the time. But anyway, he took me out, and I went out 2 days later and shot a deer.
Yeah.
And so that kind of started my compound, and I went on a killing spree.
Yeah.
Because I had hunted for so long with the stick bow that with that thing in my hands, it was bad business. But then I, gravitated back towards shooting my longbow again, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But like you said, I choose to make that choice. But I also choose to shoot my bow every single day. I practice, good practice, and I think that's what it takes. I mean, building up that muscle memory and just the consistency of your form. But even when you do all that, I still choked in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
Well, here's the man that
No, there he is right there.
only shoots perfect arrows out of his golden bow.
Uh-huh.
Joel Turner himself.
And I think, and we'll get Joel on the thing, which I didn't go to his class or whatever else. But, when I shot the bear, right?
Yep.
And I shot it by its feet, and then it was just a yardage thing, and it turned broadside, and I knew kind of better way to aim. But the first day of the season, I missed a mule deer three times.
Yes.
Probably would have been 4 if I could have reloaded fast enough. And people can Joel has his spiel of whatever. Joel obviously could see what was going on from wherever he's from, but I was like, yeah, dude, I think it just got out of the way. And I'm like, I don't think I did anything wrong until the third arrow. But with the compound, you pretty just much know you suck if you miss, right?
Yeah.
Meaning nothing probably got out of the way. It could, and you have a lot of the catching features. But with the stick bow, he saw I was going crazy mentally. I'm like, did I short draw? Did I long draw? Did I come off the string? I'm like, man, it really felt good. And the deer seemed to duck, and I never got that with a compound, and I've shot a lot of animals with a compound. It's just an easier thing. And to me, to get pissed off to say that it's more difficult to shoot a stick bow and you could wound something is weird. Now, in Clay's own mind, it's up to you and me to say, I can't shoot that well. 15 yards is that distance. Well, I'd say you're full of shit, because if at 22 yards, a 200-inch mule deer walks by, how many people do you know aren't going to shoot?
You're shooting.
Yeah, you're shooting.
You're shooting.
That's what I was trying to say. That is just the reality. Especially if you have shot compound for years, 22 yards looks so feasible.
Oh, and Clay and I were in these huge arguments on the phone, and he's like, where do you say 20 to 25 yards? You're wrong. That's your opinion. And I'm like, no, Clay, we've shot with a lot of trad bow guys, and I would say most guys are going to say 20 to 25 yards is their maximum effective range. And it's digging into the human nature, right? No one's going to – that's like –
I have a confession.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to lay this. I'm going to confess to you guys today on this podcast and to the world. And some people may hate me after this, but to me, Okay, getting in range, getting close, getting on an angle, shooting straight down off a cliff or whatever like I did this year. All of that stuff is a gamble. You're doing the best you can in the situation you can to make it happen. If at 25 yards, and I've seen this many times among trad bow shooters, they can hit that target in the kill zone 7 out of 10 times at 25 yards. That's a 70% chance. Or let's say 8 out of 10. 80% of the time, they hit that. But they always have 1 or 2 wingers that go off. That means every time you shoot at 25 yards, if you keep it all together and you execute the same as you do on a target, you have an 80% chance of hitting that animal in the kill zone.
You also have a 20% chance of wounding that animal.
Every time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
And that's on a target, not
That,
with
yeah, and that's
adrenaline
not
pumping.
even that's not even on a real critter. Like I could sit in the backyard before I went on my elk hunt, and I was pounding those arrows at 40 yards in coffee can size groups every time. There was no flyers.
Yeah.
And I worked to get to that point. And even in the heat of the moment, half of that range at 20, well, not quite half, but at 25 yards on a 55-gallon drum, basically, I blew it.
Well, and Aaron has that point on around 38, and he can just drill and drill and drill and drill. It's almost better to shoot farther.
Oh, I would choose 38 over 31. I know that.
And so the other thing is it's almost like artillery, like with the bear. He guessed.
You don't want to
shot.
Fire your gun at first. You got to walk it in before you
Right.
fire 80.
Yeah, fires. Right. It's too low, and you hear this talk about all these guys are like, I've killed more on my second arrow than my first. They shoot. Boom, you missed. You're like, okay, now I know the range. I need to hold a little higher. Second arrow, bam. And Aaron knew, like, the first time he shot with that bear and he hit it near the feet, he's like, oh, now you're dead. If he stays there long enough, he's dead. Well, that's sort of getting the feel right there. That's not precision, my friends. And I don't know anybody who's, like, exactly on. So to me, it's like, why are we arguing that you could wound more animals with a traditional setup? It's inherent in its design. To me,
there's no argument really. I mean, for at least in my opinion, and I'm sure
it's not to offend anybody or to discourage the use of it or anything like that.
And to tell somebody that 30 yards is ludicrous for them to shoot at, like I know, like on an elk-sized critter or whatever. Like
my confession is, I'm taking that shot, dude. If I can hit that shot 80% of the time,
for sure.
80%, I'm taking that shot. That's an 80% chance.
Yeah.
That's a high percentage that I'm going to hit it. Nothing's 100% to me.
No.
So 80%, that's dang good.
Yeah.
And so that just means, though, that there's a 20% chance I'm not going to hit it where I needed to.
Well, what I was going to say, what I was getting at is just because Aaron effective range is what?
Depends.
It doesn't
Somewhere
matter.
between 5 feet and 40 yards.
Mine might be different,
Yeah.
But so who am I to judge him for taking a shot that he felt comfortable with?
Thing is I've done 3D shoots with Aaron. I've walked the course and seen him shoot. Everything gets an arrow in the kill zone.
Mm-hmm.
We shot one round. I shot a 198 with a stick bow and 20 targets, and you filmed it.
Yep.
And I shot one round, 20 targets, 198. That's pretty good shooting. Now, having said that, I still missed a bunch of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but I can shoot.
Well, I can go out and be a cardboard warrior all day.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to brass tacks and, you're actually in that moment, that's
the other thing, too, is
matters.
I watched Aaron shoot in the moment, too. There was no, like, losing his mind or making stupid choices.
Yeah.
There was full-on thinking, execution, and just didn't hit it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or the animal moved. That was something that I noticed
that was what was in
the
my
biggest
mind.
Was the moving
huge issue.
I didn't know because I don't lose my crap much shooting. Well, he saw me shoot one from me to you, and the elk was from here to the corner. But when you shoot a good shot and you don't kill it, that is what's hard for me. The whitetail in Kansas, I executed a great shot. I should have. Learning, right? I didn't know. I guess I kind of knew. I grunted at it and stopped it, so it was an alert deer, which I will shoot all day long with a compound. I shouldn't have taken the shot with the stick.
Well, and I've found, like, as I'm standing there and I hear Aaron's arrows coming and trying to quiet them down, you try.
Yeah.
But that's a challenge to me because you want the flight, you want you got these feathers on there, you're doing this thing, and they don't making it quiet and making it fly well are not the same. I mean, they can compete a little bit.
I've played around with some different setups. Like, and right now I'm running a 3-inch feather, a 4-fletch 3-inch feather. But I've super tuned my arrows with high FOC, and he's got a similar setup. And we were downrange before we went elk hunting, standing downrange, just off to the side just to listen to them, and you can get them quiet. Yeah, but I get what you're saying.
And Aaron had some that were quieter, and then you used a different bow, different poundage or something, and it changed. You got to tune it again.
Yeah. I ended up having to shoot half of a chicken wing on. I had 5-inch heavy helical feathers, 5-inch, which is loud. But the when you compare, I mean, there's so many variables again, and that's kind of the thing. It is a little bit louder, and then the release, come off your face, goofy, can matter. But I mean, you haven't been saying a whole lot.
No, I'm pretty quiet myself.
Yeah. So what do you? So looking at it from how old are you now?
I can't tell.
You're a sage.
You've done it longer. You've been hunting longer than we
I've been shooting trad all my life. I mean, I still have the original bow when I was probably 4 or 5 years old, and I got an old Ben Pearson Bronco I passed on down to Drew, but I mean, I get where you guys are coming from, and I contribute, what you're saying, Brian, is about, the shooting and the distance. I contribute that, like somebody taking a softball and you getting out at 10 yards and another guy's out there at 30 and another guy's out there at 50. And you, in your mind, if you threw that ball long enough, you know how hard and, you got to throw it to get to each point. Yeah. Same thing with shooting. And then, Drew will tell you, I'm not a bad shot, but I've had elk.
Scary.
I've had elk 7 steps from me at full draw, and I could not let go of my string.
Oh, yeah. I don't suffer from that dilemma myself. I'm shooting.
But it's to me, it's to each his own. But I mean, when I'm shooting constantly, I can pinwheel pretty good, and when we walk and we're out hunting, I'll carry a lot of judos with us because you stump shoot, and you shoot at very distances all the time, and then that just hones your skill. So and like you said though, you have an effective range.
But don't let him be so humble. He's got 3 Pope and Young whitetails on the wall at home that he's killed with a stick bow. Yeah, some pretty good ones.
But so what would you say? How old are you?
28.
So 28, 43.
Yep,
and 40.
I'm 57.
Okay, so you've got some years on us just because of all the new. We just got down. We sat with Tradbo Mag. I've gotten hate mail galore. So is he after that last podcast. Face it, Tradbo Mag can hate me. They cater to old farts, right? They do. They're an old crowd, and no guy at your age can only see one article about building a quiver with sinew. After you've seen that one sinew quiver article, you probably want to read something a little bit different, meaning you looking at it from starting quite a while ago. Now you got the millennials and the younger crowd. I get a lot of emails about it's bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's just the archery industry's horrible. Trad is going downhill. These young guys are going to ruin the sport. What I did was the worst thing could have been done for traditional archery. But the way I look at it is guys that are younger are getting younger guys into the traditional archery world, which if you start them out young, they may stay with it. They're going to transfer it to their buddies. Where I think, well, is this just a bunch of old farts being an ass? Are they just being?
I would say.
Sorry about the editing, Katie.
No, I would say that couldn't be further from the truth. Anybody that says that it's bad, like you have just you guys alone with the Gritty Bowman, and you fully documenting your transition, you've just based off of who I talk to through my business or through our business, the guys that I talk to on the phone, tons of young people are interested in it. Tons. I mean, and South's doing a really good job of recruiting some younger guys. So I would say, if anything, it's probably growing at a rate that it hasn't seen in a while.
Well, I think a few people misunderstood that podcast as well. Aaron was basically detailing how difficult it was,
Step by step.
because
we documented.
not to discourage people from doing it.
No.
Just giving them the facts that, hey, this is tough.
And
and it sort of, to me, it validated the whole primitive community. Like, this is hard.
That's what we wanted to do with that podcast. And I mean, we're still talking about it because I find it comical when somebody calls me and they're like, I listened to this podcast and I didn't like it. And I'm like, why don't you listen to 198 other ones and report back? Because you skipped a lot of them.
Well, that was what we found, too, was a lot of people only listened to that one podcast. So there was no context for them for the overall thing. And there were a lot of people that wrote in and said, it sounds like Aaron just needs to practice more. And I'm like, guys, you don't realize how much Aaron shot, how good he is with the bow, how good a hunter he is. Like, you're kind of coming on late to the scene as far as that. And context matters. Otherwise,
Oh, it
people.
absolutely does.
So some of that probably stemmed from the fact that, they just didn't know the whole backstory.
But we did. We went through each hunt, and I said, this is what happened with the stick, and this is what would have happened with my compound, which I thought we were fairly realistic with both. But, I mean, that's the thing. I talk to guys every day, literally every day, that are like, I think I'm picking up a stick bow. What do you think? And I'll be like, did you shoot a compound? Well, I shot one a little bit. I didn't like it. I'm like, perfect. That's the kind of guy I think likes to get the stick bow. Because some guys just flat out, my buddy Paul Gustafson, he can shoot a compound amazing, misses everything in front of him with it, so he shoots a stick bow. I mean, he doesn't like the technology. He just flat out doesn't. Now, he likes to fling some arrows through a compound, but some guys are just meant to shoot a stick, in my opinion. Like, they're just designed for it, and other guys are meant to never touch it because they will wound everything in front of them. And we got to see a lot of hunts this year. I mean, there was one specific hunt, a deer ended up with an arrow in a spot it shouldn't have been, and the entire time I'm thinking, that guy needs a compound. He should not be shooting that stick. It's been kind of a history with him. Great guy, great hunt, and everything else. But I know he needs those catching features because he just flat out loses his mind when he shoots at an animal.
Yeah, I will say though, if somebody's out there, like, if you are looking to come to the traditional side, there's a ton of good options out there. Contact Joel.
Yeah.
For good coaching. Contact Tom if you're in the Denver area, Rocky Mountain Specialty Gear.
Yep.
The Trad Tips video that Matt Zernzak and Tim Nebel put together, that was a nice breakdown of everything. And there's a lot of good information out there and good coaching. Seek it out.
And we're not saying that just because you picked up a stick bow now you're not ethical and you're going to wound everything. That's not it at all.
No.
Dude, they're it's just it's that with that level of difficulty and the choice to shoot primitive. It's sort of back to what you were saying, Andy, about I think about hunting with a spear, right? It's like throwing a baseball or a softball, right? You get used to throwing it. You know how hard to throw it, how far to throw it, and it takes time.
Yeah.
But eventually you get pretty good at it. But throwing a spear is still never going to compare to the accuracy achieved by
a rifle.
Or a compound. Those are levels of technology higher. And so it doesn't mean that it's a bad weapon.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I like spears as well. It just means that there's with the choice to choose that primitive option comes less of a precision tool to execute that thing with.
Right.
But that's why it's so rewarding when you are successful.
Oh, there's no better feeling like the one doe I shot this year in Michigan back home. I put an absolute smoking shot on a complete controlled shot. I mean, did everything the right way, and that's such a good feeling.
Yeah,
when you finally do.
Well, that's just it. Like, Aaron shot that elk, man, and I thought he was going to cry.
It was close, and I don't cry over anything. And it was bad. I was like,
but I mean, it was also like one of the coolest moments in my hunting life. To see that and be part of it and to have it happen, it was like,
well, the whole scene, the fog was coming in. We were in an aspen, basically where, timber,
the last morning.
timber into grass, hardwoods, coming down a hill, everything you would design in an elk hunt. And yeah, last day.
Charging in, 12 yards, just hot.
Perfect.
And arrow. Thump. There was just something intense about it.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was a special deal. And you don't get that necessarily the same way when you've got a compound. And
it is.
It's the work involved to get to that point.
Absolutely
is what it's all about.
Some of the emails that have come in are like, you don't get it. You just don't get it. If you're going back to a compound, you don't get it. And I'm like, no, I got it now.
Yep.
But I still like to kill a lot of stuff, and I put $6,000 on a tag. I'm taking the compound possibly. I'm just saying, like, hey, I'm not 100% committed to the stick, but I like it enough to where I am going to hunt quite a bit of things with it. But I'm not gonna lie. I'm not committed to it enough. If he and I go on a sheep hunt, I'm bringing the compound.
Well, it's like a guy who wants to take a rifle on a hunt instead of a compound, right? It's the same situation.
Clay Hayes is a good example. He grabs his gun after the season because they allow that in the state he lives in to make sure he gets meat in the freezer. Jeff Lander said 100%. He goes, dude, I wouldn't hunt with this stick if I didn't outfit because everybody gives me their animals. He's like, I'd be grabbing a gun.
Yeah.
Well, I think
choice.
Was it Fred Bear was quoted as saying, like, if you want a bow hunt, plan on, well, not exactly verbatim, but you want a bow hunt, plan on going hungry.
Yeah.
And that was back when, and that's not the exact quote. Somebody will fry me for that, but.
Right.
Yeah.
What he shoot his stone at, that world record, 74, 78.
I know, it was a poke.
Yeah. I meant far.
But do you see the ethics police criticizing Fred Bear?
No, they have excuses.
There's this whole thing, though, like there's that, that Wayne Gretzky argument, you miss every shot you don't take.
Exactly.
Right? So, Aaron, we were talking about this will piss some people off. But, we'll hear guys talk about how they've never wounded anything. And we'll also realize that they've never killed anything. Or if they have, it's a very small list. And, I'll talk to South Cox. South has missed. On Stalkers in the Backcountry, he missed
7 times.
Yeah, was it that many?
Maybe
4 times?
It was a pile, man.
He missed a few
Should we
times
call him?
on one season, like one hunt. The point is that you don't take the shot, you're not going to kill it. You miss every shot you don't take. Yeah. And so that's not a justification to take a shot that you will miss, but it's certainly one where you have the 80% chance of hitting it.
Well, if
you don't take it, you don't have that 80%. If you're always waiting for that 100%,
never happened. No.
Right?
Well, and you got to know your limitations.
Right.
Like that comes down to, like, for me, confidence is huge. Like, if I don't feel confident in a shot, I'm not going to take it. Like, I had a bull elk, almost full on at 18 yards after I missed that big one.
Yeah.
He was standing there quartering to me so hard, and I know I could have tucked that arrow in there, but I just didn't feel comfortable with it, so I didn't take the shot.
Look, I feel like, wounding animals is the dirty little secret that the hunting community wants to always keep quiet about and never talk about. The fact is, it's what happens when you hunt.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just part of the reality of it, and I think it's bad form to try to hide it all the time.
Well, and I know a lot of guys, not a lot, but even when I shot a compound, I took risky shots.
Well,
but I was also 16, 17, 18 years old when I did that, so it was.
Yeah. What's interesting is when Aaron gets all the phone calls from the trad guys, we were going through some misery. Okay, he missed that mule deer, and I make everything public. So,
that one got spread by everybody. Lord!
And then it's on everybody's Facebook page, and it's on Wide Open Spaces and wherever, And so they do this, and he misses with the elk. It's a wounded one. We track it. It wasn't mortally wounded. It was pretty superficial, but still wounded. This whole thing's public, and it's going live as we go along, and that was tough to share, but we did anyway, just because we want to be real the whole time.
We're gonna be full of
but then
spirit of full candor, right?
Yeah.
But then phone call after phone call of buddies that are shooting trad that have been shooting a long time saying,
dude, I just unloaded my quiver and I didn't hit one time. We're behind you, bro. I'm like, all right, cool, man.
when that happened, it was like, and it was guy after guy after guy after guy. It was like
hundreds of emails.
Okay.
Been there, done that, bought that T-shirt. Huh?
Yeah, people are, it's a common thing, but nobody else was saying it or publishing it. Kudos to South.
Yeah.
He put in his film. He missed 4 times or whatever it was.
People respect it when you keep it real with them, you know.
I had guys get on and say, hey, dude, I shot 3 times this morning at whatever, and I missed every one. It happens. And this isn't, I'm not saying this to get into the whole wounding thing, but it was support. But what's funny is like, we shot the deer. I shot a bedded deer, and huge support over that. But then we went back elk hunting, and you know we're turning into heroes here. We dropped the elk, bam. Then we go to Idaho, and I about lose my because I miss an extremely large bull from about here to that sign thing right there, which didn't wound it, just missed it. But we're updating everyone on this, and what finally, you know, we gotta. You know, fast forwarding to the end of the season, because we need to wrap this up here in a little bit too, is Kansas, whitetail comes in, and I flat out made what I thought was the most perfect shot in the world, and the buck spun a little bit, and his shoulder came back. I hit his shoulder. I didn't get the animal. Now, obviously, everybody's an internet quarterback. I shouldn't have shot an alert deer. I probably shouldn't have. Other guys said I should have shot it walking, and it was at, you know, and I could have shot it walking in that 18, 16-yard range. Other guys said I shouldn't have shot at all. You know, obviously multiple different responses. But my point, or why I lost it and grabbed the compound, was I don't like wounding animals, and that animal would have been dead with a compound. And you can say whatever you want, and anyone can say anything, but that animal would have been deader than fried chicken if I had a compound in my hand. And so there's certain times I'm going to want to shoot a compound. You get into the semantics of, you know, distance. I haven't learned enough about the stick bow. Hey, that's great. Either way, brass tacks, stick bow wounded, compound deader than dead.
Yeah.
No matter what. And that was, which people didn't seem to understand, was like, well, you shouldn't have done this. Yeah, I got it. I know I shouldn't have done. But.
Well, also, though, I don't think people realize how good a shot Aaron is because he hasn't really tooted his horn or shown it off. And I've been with a compound. I mean, I've watched Aaron shoot, and I'm like, okay, this is stupid, ridiculous. And so if you're shooting like that under pressure with people all watching you and you're still executing like 90-yard groups that are deadly, it's like, well, you can, because a lot of guys just don't realize when they say 40 yards, you know, the compound, you know, they're like 50 yards of the compound, they're like, wow, you know. Well, Aaron groups at 90 like how I group at 40.
Yeah.
And I'm not a bad shot.
On a 5-spot, when I shoot at 40, I usually shoot a 300 with 50 to 52 X's at a 5-spot.
Yeah.
With my compound.
So to say that you know, I think when Aaron is confident, he's very confident in saying when he hits with a compound, he hits.
Yeah.
So, well, we better wrap this up. We got to
Well, thanks for having us on.
Hey, it was
guys,
our pleasure.
appreciate
Thanks, Andy.
Yep, Brian.
Pleasure
really
to finally
appreciate
meet
it.
you guys.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
And all those trad guys out there need to check out Selway.
Yep, Selway. And
Get a badass quiver.
Not just because it's a badass quiver, but these guys are badass dudes, and that's important. Don't support an a-hole. Support cool guys.
That's right. Stay gritty, guys.
Stay great.
You too.
Friends, hunters, outdoorsmen, lend me your ears. Please take this moment to listen to this excerpt from the Gritty Bowman film, Back to Traditions. Despite our ever-changing, ever-indignant world with its growing ignorance of and indifference to the ways of the wild, I remain a predator, pitying those who revel in artificiality and synthetic success while regarding me and my kind as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood. I stalk a real world of dark wood and tall grass stirred by a restless wind blowing across sunlit water and beneath star-strewn sky. And on those occasions when I choose to kill, to claim some small part of nature's bounty for my own, I do so by choice, quickly, with the learned efficiency of a skilled hunter. Further, in my heart and mind, I know the truth and make no apologies for my actions or my place in time.
Others around me may opt to eat only plants, nuts, and fruits. Still others may employ faceless strangers to procure their meats, their leather, their feathers, and all those niceties and necessities of life. Such is their right, of course, and I wish them well. All I ask in return is no one begrudge me, and all of us who may answer the primordial stirrings within our hunter souls, my right to do some of these things myself.
What you just heard is a quote from M.R. James. We truly live in a world that is largely ignorant and indifferent to the ways of the wild. And although some regard us as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood, we have the opportunity to change the way these people view the hunter and the hunt. We can share our experiences and nature's bounty with those who employ these faceless strangers. And by so doing, we make a difference, not just for ourselves, but for the wild animals in the wild places we care so deeply about. Never stop sharing your passion for hunting and the outdoors. Our wild animals and our wild places depend on it. We want to thank Kifaru, Mountain Ops, Hoyt, Vortex, Phelps, Black Eagle Arrows, and Crispy Boots for supporting the Gritty Bowman. We love these companies and the people behind them. They truly make fantastic products. Please support them whenever you can. And as always, good luck on your hunts and stay gritty.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowman.
Gritty Bowman.